Welcome to J&J Acres. Today for our Cub Scout series we're going to work on the belt loop for video games. We feel like we're stuck inside today because of the weather. It's been awful rainy since last night. So since we feel like we're stuck inside and want to play video games, we're going to earn the belt loop for it. We have to do three things for the belt loop. We have to talk about video game ratings and why it's important to have them. We have to talk about a schedule on playing video games, and we have to play a video game that's been approved by a parent or guardian. Okay, so first thing I want to show you is something that we created probably about a year ago when Brandon got a Nintendo DS video game system, and he wanted to know what of the free demos that he could download for it were acceptable, what he was allowed to use. And he can also do things like watch videos and such, and he wanted to know which ratings were okay and which ones were going to get him in trouble. So we created this little chart, and I'll put a better picture of it in the video here. But in the chart you can see that there are three different listings. There's similar but different ratings for television, movies, and video games. We're going to focus on the video games. And what we did for him was show him the kind of ratings that were okay. He did not have to ask any permission to look at those. There were ratings where he had to ask permission first, but he at least might have a chance of being told it was okay to do that. And then there was ones that were marked off in red where don't even bother asking, you're going to be told no every single time. So that kind of helped him know what he could ask for, what he couldn't ask for, and it kind of cut down on the frustration level when a video game looked exciting, but then he could see that the rating was going to be something he wasn't allowed to play, so don't even bother. Or if the rating was right, he knew he could jump right into it or ask if it was something that we would be okay with him using. So Brandon, why is it important that video games have different ratings? What's the point?
Make sure that if it's too violent, you don't play with it.
Okay. What about how hard they are? Does that matter?
Yes.
Okay, so some games are easy for your younger brother, but some games are harder, and someone would have to be your age to play them, right? Okay. So, do you know which ones you're allowed to look at?
Only the green ones.
The green ones? Okay. What does the pictures look like there? Okay, but there's an E and a C. Okay, you're allowed to use that without any question, right? What's the next one you can use without even asking?
E.
Okay, what are the two you have to ask permission first?
T and M.
Okay. I think I'll make a point here. Brandon's only 9 years old, but the reason we put mature in the ask first kind of category, there's a lot of games out there where we can restrict what is shown or what isn't shown. Some of the games are just demos. He can only play them for 5 minutes at a time, or a certain amount of times he can start the game.
They normally put about 15 and 30. 15
or 30 minutes that he can play it. So, even though a game is rated as mature, it doesn't necessarily mean you really have to be 18 to play it. I would definitely recommend making sure you're checking these video games, but it doesn't really necessarily mean it's something that you need to draw a line on. And what's this last one look like?
Amateur.
No, what are the letters? There's two. A and
O.
A and O. It's for adults only. Okay. Those are the ones that we put a stopping line on. He's not allowed to play those at all. Those are going to be your very gruesome, bloody, very sketchy content in those kind of video games. Okay? The next thing we have to talk about is a schedule. Now, I'm not going to take time with you on the video to outline a full schedule, but the whole point behind this is for your scout to realize that there's a time to take care of the house, there's a time that we have to take care of our homework, our schoolwork, and there's a time that we get to have fun and play video games and do other things. We've already have a system that we use in our house, so I'll explain that briefly. We have these chore sheets, which are probably a little complicated looking on the video. But there's a sheet for each person in the house, and once a month we sit down and we have a master list of all the chores that have to be done. And we start at the youngest child, and they get to pick a certain number of chores that have to be done each day, a certain number that have to be done each week, and a certain number of chores that have to only be done once a month. And of course it's based on, capability. There's certain chores that the youngest child can pick from, but there's some that he can't pick from because it's just outside of his capabilities. And then it just works its way up until we get to the adults. Brandon has selected his chores for the month. He's been doing things like collecting the laundry and sorting the laundry, and it just goes on from there. He also helps with some of the weekly chores like vacuuming and things like that. Brandon, what's the first thing after getting home and having snack that you have to do each day when you're in school? You get home, you have snack, then what? Then you got to do your homework. It happens every day like that, right? Except which day?
Saturday and Sunday.
And Friday, because you don't have homework on Fridays, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brandon knows that there's chores that he has to do. He can check this list every day. In fact, every day he's checking something off of it. He knows that as soon as he gets home, he gets to have a snack, and then he has to finish his homework, and then we have free time, either the rest of that night or on the weekends we've got free time. So it's a very clear schedule to him on when things are allowed to be done. He knows not to just come home and ask to jump on his video games. There's something else that needs to be done first. We also check the chore list. If for some reason after homework we haven't got to something that he normally does before going to school, then that's going to get checked off before he gets a chance to get on video games or play outside or anything else. Okay? Now the last thing that's on the requirements is to choose a video game and learn to play it. A new video game that's been approved by your parent. Now we got this video game about 2 weeks ago. What's it called?
Epic Mickey, I think it was about a few days ago, maybe.
Okay, Epic Mickey. And we have a Nintendo Wii that he plays it on. And what is the rating on that, Brandon?
E.
E. And what does E stand for?
Everyone.
Stands for everyone. So everybody can play this. We let our 5-year-old play it, our 7-year-old or 9-year-old. Anybody who's able to operate the Wii is allowed to play this video game. So, how have you liked it?
I loved it.
Do you think that the E rating is a good rating? Do you think it's fair to say that everyone should be allowed to play that? Yeah? Okay. What's your favorite thing about that video game so far?
Everything.
You like everything about it?
Yeah.
And there's not one thing in particular that stands out?
Nope.
Okay. Alright, well that's it. That's all Brandon has to do to earn his video game belt loop. So we will turn this information into his den leader on Tuesday, and at his next awards ceremony he will get presented with his video game belt loop. I want to throw one little mention in here. I kept hearing from time to time people telling me that, as a Weeblo Scout, he might really want to learn to work on getting the pins. The pins are kind of the next step up. I talked before in a video about how belt loops just kind of form a foundation. It's not really an in-depth thing. Brandon didn't have to list out all the different age cutoffs or things that happen in each of the different ratings to earn a belt loop. He just had to know what the ratings were in general. It gave him the foundation to grow on. But for the pins, there's usually a lot more things in there that require a little extra effort or more deeper understanding that might be more appropriate for someone like Brandon, who's a Weeblo Scout. For example, in the belt loop, in the video game, there's some things like choose a game you might like to purchase, compare the price for this game at 3 different stores, decide which store has the best deal. In your decision, be sure to consider things like the store return policy and the manufacturer's warranty. That might be something that's a little harder for, say, a Tiger Cub to try to understand. But as a Weeblo, that might be a requirement he's able to work on in order to get his pin. The reason I bring this up is I was told by somebody that when Brandon goes from the traditional Cub Scout uniform with the blue shirt into the Weeblo's uniform, which can be either blue or the tan color that's used in Boy Scouts, that he wouldn't be able to wear these belt loops anymore because the loop that is the belt that is used in the Boy Scout uniform is too tall, and the belt loops would not fit on that tan belt. So if he got the pins, he'd be able to wear them on his Weeblo ribbons, but he wouldn't be able to wear the loops anymore. I was looking through the manual the other day and ran across something that caught my attention. I thought I'd share it with you because you might be getting the same advice, and I found out that it is inaccurate. It says right here, excuse me, belt loops may be worn with the Cub Scout uniform on the Cub Scout belt. Weeblo Scouts who have chosen to wear the khaki uniform may still wear the blue Cub Scout belt so as to display the belt loops they have earned. So even if your Scouts earned belt loops from as young as a Tiger Scout, and now is in, let's say he's all the way in second year Weeblos and is wearing the khaki uniform, he can still wear his blue belt so to display his belt loops and show the achievements that he's earned. He does not have to wear the green web belt that is usually worn with the khaki uniform. So just a little tip for you, and you can find it on page 4 of this academic sports program guide. It's right out of the Boy Scouts America publication. So with that, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this rainy day as we earn this belt loop. And please like the video below and subscribe to our channel so that you can get all the newest updates. Thank you.